Hey all, it's Nikki. I thought I would talk about what my daily writing schedule is, kind of both in and out of quarantine. So I hope you're doing okay and you're staying safe. My life, because I am a stay-at-home writer, has not been as affected by the quarantine so much as the rest of my household has been really deeply affected by the quarantine, which then affects me. And talking to a lot of writers, that is really common, at least the people that I know that work from home as opposed to those who have a full-time job and then write from home. So those of us who kind of fall into the category of we normally write at home, tons and tons of us are affected by the fact that our spouse may not be leaving the house, our kids might not be leaving the house. In my particular case, my husband is normally at home, but he has a number of activities that he does throughout the week. Same with our toddler going to preschool and my mother-in-law going on chores. So it's not uncommon that I get a lot of quiet time throughout the day when my husband takes his mother to doctor's appointments or takes the toddler and his mom to go run errands, and so or takes the toddler to preschool. And so I think a big part of what has changed in my schedule has to do with the fact that nobody can get any of their emotional needs met outside the house, so we do it all inside the house. And what I mean is that my son's desire for activity and interaction, of course we do a ton of that at home, but now all of it is required of us. And he has gotten used to going to preschool. He has therapy that he does with some therapists at the school, which of course is super fun at his age. Lots of games and interactions. They go to the park. My husband goes and hangs out with his guy friends, and there's a lot of stuff, and my mother-in-law gets out and kind of bustles around. So instead it ends up being everything. So I actually get less time to write. And from talking to my friends who are writers, they could potentially have more time or less time. It's just a total crapshoot. So wherever you are in the spectrum, if you're trying to write at home, even if you don't consider yourself to be a full-time writer, whatever that term means to you, but you're disruptive, then I totally get it. So one of the things, and I mentioned this in another video about writing at home when your whole family is there, is that we try to do a lot of checking in with each other. Because, I don't know if you can hear it, but my toddler was just shouting. Having kids at home can take a huge wear on your sanity. So I check in with my husband a lot. How are you feeling? Do you need to get outside? Do you need to we have a decaf, we call it the garage, but it's like a shop that's out there and it's separate, and so it's completely separate from the house. And so a lot of times we'll go out there to kind of escape. And he's got his projects that he's working on and things that he's doing. And I go out a lot of times to the yard with the horses, and I pet the horses and fiddle around with the hay and drag some, old brush out to be burned eventually, stuff like that. So we do a lot of checking in. And it's very much like I would imagine. I haven't worked in an office ever. I did teach at this school. I taught, you guessed it, archery, obviously. But I never had this, but I imagine this is a lot like what a boss does, where he's constantly checking in on employees and how's everyone doing and how are you coming on this project, are you getting any work blocks? I don't know. I've never been in an office, so I'm just guessing. But getting down to the nitty-gritty of how my day works is we normally, especially kind of in the later evenings, the night before, say, what do we want to work on? Right now, I am waiting on my edits to come back from my editor, and I checked in with her last week, and she thought last Friday I would have them back. And she is wonderful and awesome and super affordable, and she always runs late. And that's just part of our deal that it has pretty much explicitly been said, which is I don't bug her and I don't rush her, and she charges me a little less than some other people. That is just something that works within our relationship. So I will probably get those back this Friday, a couple of days from now. But I cannot sink into a new project until I at least get through development edits. Copy edits, no big deal. Copy edits are things like lay instead of lie. There's always, occasionally there's a continuity error, but in general what we're talking about when it gets to copy edits is really grammar, and I can just accept them all. I go through, I scan them to make sure that they're all good, and I hit accept all and I move on. Development and line edits are where we get into heavy lifting things. I've got to hold usually after I send the book off, I start thinking, the character of Uncle Mike wasn't quite as consistent. I think I need to add in more layers here and there. And I can't really move into the next book. That is just me. You might be able to write, a lot of people write 5 books at once. They're writing 2 projects. They can hit send on a book and then the next day pick up the next book. That's fine. This is just not what I can do. So because I am waiting on edits, I can't really move into the next project. It's up here. I'm kind of thinking, what do I want to do? But I can't really like sit down and start tippity typing. That is just me at this point in my career. I would love, love, love to change it. So I've been working on an audiobook. I record my own audiobooks. They're narrated by the author. That's me. My mic broke last week. My editing program crashed. Everything's going wrong. But I've been, so I have that. You can't see it, but right here is a Post-its this deep of things that I can be working on. So like today specifically, I worked on affiliate links, getting them up on my YouTube videos. They're down there if you want to click and see what kind of books I write, and what kind of ratings they have and how many ratings and all that. And so right now, and this is something that when I saw that a lot of people do or have asked about, what does your daily writing look like? I don't have a daily writing. I feel like it's almost like saying, what do you do in an average day for a teacher? And the teacher's like, well, it depends on where we are in the semester. It depends on what particular load of classes I have on. It depends on what we're teaching. It depends on, and that's kind of how I feel about me. So I am someone who has to kind of sink into a book to get into it so I can write. So a lot of times I'll come upstairs and I'll start by doing the basics. I call it, in self-publishing they have, the term admin is used a lot, and it's sort of a catch-all for anything that's not writing, editing, that kind of thing. So admin might be, like today I was updating affiliate links. It could be checking your sales, you doing your bookkeeping. It could be I usually send out my newsletter on Thursday or Friday, and so on Wednesday or Thursday I am checking to see what book I want to set for free I'm Kindle Unlimited, so I can do that the day before. I am writing up my newsletter. I'm including, I try to have one kind of theme thing each episode, each newsletter, so that could be a free book, that could be a cover reveal, it could be a pre-order link. Hopefully it's an announcement of a new book for sale, but that's only it should be, according to my goal, once every 4 months, but reality is it's more like once every 6 months. So, so I usually try to start with some of that. I have a chat group, and so we try to sprint 0 and 30, so check in at 0 and 30 minutes after the hour. But I mean, it could be anything. If I open up my email and I have a whole bunch of email, if I get a ad for a promo, they're called like newsletter builders. If I get one in my mailbox that's for a particularly relevant kind of, funny mysteries with dogs. Okay, I'm going to sign up for that particular promo, and I'll go to BookFunnel and I'll check this. And so day to day can vary quite a bit. And then usually I try to do some writing. So that could be, it could be new words on a paper. I write linearly, so it's all in a row. A lot of times, like right now I'm not writing, but a lot of times it could be as simple as opening up and saying, I don't really know how I'm getting into this chapter. I kind of have a loose outline, and sometimes they're really, really specific. I have a very specific scene. Like already for my next book, I have a very clear scene toward probably 75% through the book with this dragon and this dragon breath and the hair lifting up around her as she walks through the flames and realizes that she's immune and realizes what dragon breath really does within this world. What does that fire actually do and function within the magical system? That I have really clear. But a lot of times I don't know, where do I start? Do I, if the last scene is her like running on stage, do I start a half a second later? Do I, am I fast forwarding 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Is it literally the next step, or do I jump in and, a little bit later, like as I hit the middle of the stage? a lot of times, and a lot of times I don't know what's wrong. A lot of times I'll say, you know, I'm not ready to write, and I have to like sit and go, okay, is it that I don't know where I'm heading? Is it that I don't know do I actually know how to start? For me personally, a lot of times I may know the next 1,000 words, but not the words after that. And so a lot of times I won't want to start the chapter until I know where it's heading. And that's something I have to fight, because a lot of times if I start writing those 1,000 words and I say, okay, I'm going to write all the way up until I don't know what's happening, things kind of roll out ahead of you, sort of like a car in fog. You can only see 10 yards ahead of you. I think Neil Gaiman said that, which is like, you can only see as far as your headlights, but you can do the whole trip going that way. I'm not always like that. A lot of times I can't see any farther because there's a wall, and then I've got to figure out what that wall is hiding. And for me, because I write mysteries, a lot of it is clues. She's got to find, something has to happen at this store that is a clue that'll help solve the mystery. And I don't know what that is. Sometimes there has to be, sometimes my notes will say things like, reveals big family secret. I don't know what the big family secret is. I know it goes here, but I don't know what that is. Could be, finds the next, the next suspect. So a lot of times the difficulties that come up, and sometimes I just can't write. Sometimes I think I have undiagnosed dyslexia or something, because I just can't write. And so I'll sit there and I'll be like, I'll type and I'll read what I wrote, and it's not even that it's bad, it's that it makes no sense. I've written the wrong words. A lot of times I try to think, and it's very much like if someone woke you up in the middle of the night and said, quick, 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 we've got to go, there's a fire. Your brain wouldn't function real well. And a lot of times I feel like I walk around day to day with my brain not functioning that well. Not the best feeling, but it's just the reality. And so usually I will try to give myself a half an hour at a sprint for writing, and if it's not working, I'll try to change things up. A lot of times I'll go and I'll be like, to my husband, I'll be like, why don't I take the baby for an hour while I think, and you can go take a break. The worst possible thing I can do is get on the internet, which I have been trying to avoid doing. So that might be or might not be kind of what you're looking for from this video, but my daily writing schedule, if you struggle to have a schedule, then you are certainly not alone, because I feel like it will take me 6 hours to do 2 hours worth of work. It'll take me 2 hours to do 15 minutes worth of work. It'll take me 15 minutes to do no work. Whatever it is, you are certainly not alone. And if you are someone who can do a schedule, that's awesome. But a lot of us can't, because, like I said, if I'm at a point in my book where I need to think more, then I need to think more. If I am between projects, I'm between projects. So I guess maybe the takeaway from this is that if you struggle and it seems like everybody else has this great writing schedule and you can't figure out why you can't have a writing schedule, maybe you're like me and you just have to constantly be reevaluating and asking questions. And I actually have a posted over here somewhere that I have like my decision tree. If I try to write for 30 minutes and I get nothing written, here are some questions to ask myself and to evaluate for the next step. So if you got this far, like and subscribe, and hit me up in the comments if you have any really specific questions, because if you ask me a specific question, I will probably have a specific answer. Otherwise, I will ramble on. Thank you.